The Summer Cup tournament that was held from August to October this year has gathered the players from all over the world. After the deathmatch stage in which everyone fought for themselves and had to earn as much points as possible, it was finally the time for the final stage, the duels. Duels are considered to be the most spectacular and sophisticated battle genre among Mount and Blade community. Although it might look like players are desperately trying to eventually hit each other, to a new player, it is in fact not like that at all. In order to be able to fight on more or less adequate level, you are going to need many hours of learning and practice. No rules violation, cheating or rudeness. Only fair, spectacular and intense games from some of the best players in the world. Let's take a look at some of the most memorable moments from the tourney's duels. Captain Lust, England versus Wombo, Poland, one of the first duels of the tournament. Polish player had the support of his comrade Tom, who also took part in the final stage. Right now, he has no idea that he'll take second place in the end, and so he cheers for his friend deeply from the heart. He looks sadder and sadder as the match goes through, probably because the majority of corpses lying in the ground belongs to Wombo. Despite almost complete domination by Captain Lust, the duel turned out quite entertaining. For example, look at this. It's extremely difficult but very effective to repulse the attack with a counterblow. It's very hard to master this technique. Unfortunately, the presence of Wombo's comrade doesn't really help him, and he loses 8-2, and after that he wreaks his anger on the judge. M versus Captain Lust. Two very professional players from England fought against each other more than once during the tournament. M qualified from the deathmatch stage much earlier than others. He practically had no much rival there. Many players were saying that he'll have no match in the duel stage too. Interesting to note that the Englishman bought with fire and sword right before the beginning of the tourney just to take part in it. And Captain Lust is broadly known among the Mount and Blade community as one of its most active members and a player with a very wide experience. It's worth to mention that M, following his usual style, always plays as fragile girl in the game. That's why it's much harder to watch his missed strikes and easier to empathize with him. Maybe it's one of the reasons he won the tournament. The atmosphere is so intense it seems like players waited so long to have a chance to fight each other. Sometimes player can't take it anymore and faint at the hate of the fighting. There were also memorable duel moments. Cunning combination with foot strike executed by M. Taking advantage of the same technique's miss, Captain Lust delivers a fatal blow. The victory goes to M, 7-3. A swift and very intense match that took place near the tiny well in an empty yard. This time M confronts Uriel from America. Here, the players are furiously trying to hit each other in a very close range, but American player manages to get a hold of the round's rhythm and end it to his victory. And without any rest, he begins the next round with an accurate blow to his opponent's head. But unfortunately, it's not enough to win this round. If you could imagine some other weapon in M's hands, like a frying pan or a rolling pin for instance, the fight would have immediately changed its competitive spirit and even gained some kind of a plot. Cozy and domestic atmosphere of the arena can easily put you in this dreamy position. And it could even be a new idea for a cool mod. And supernatural reaction of M continues to amaze. Here, in one brief moment, he finds a weak spot in his opponent's defense and delivers final strike in the chest. The fight was quite equal, but in the end the victory goes to M, 6-4. M versus Warlord, America. One of the most spectacular duels during the tourney. It was the only case where players had to play additional rounds to bring out the winner. The main 10 rounds were shared equally between the players. Fights could go on for minutes, which is considered a very rare thing in duels. Like here, it's hard to count how many times their blades clashes in this round. Price of every missed blow from the enemy rose every second. There also were these strikes in the air by Warlord. They didn't always work out, but in this case such technique was worth it. As the duel kept getting more and more intense, players didn't even notice how at one moment they were fighting in the wood among the trees. Only after M's death, players took time out to look around and ask each other what were they doing there and why is there a giant fruit basket. After 13 rounds, M takes the victory, 8-5. Tom, Poland versus Bargaroth, Norway. Unique occurrence at the duels. Both players decided to choose a large two-handled sword in their dual weapon, same faction and even the same haircut of their characters. For this reason it was little hard to cheer for the players very sincerely. But there was really no need for that. Tom mercilessly killed his opponent time after time, and he only gave away just one victory, final score 9-1. Later, the fate brought these two players from the previous match together again. As you can see, the choice of weapons had been changed, but you still can't distinguish one from another. Despite some very long and intense rounds, like here, where players after the long sequence of blocks quickly exchange with 3 really fast strikes, the victory goes to Tom with a large lead, 7-3. In the end, players thanked each other for worthy matches with ritual crouching. Captain Lost versus Tom. This duel takes the title of the most chaotic match of the tournament. Due to technical problems, the appointed duel had to be held at a public server, with other players who had no idea of the tourney going on. The official manner of the tournament causes a huge sensation among server's population and generated a lot of small and random events. The players tried to find a place to stay alone and take one of the most anticipated duels to a small cozy yard. But soon enough, in just one location were gathered the participants of the duel, judges sitting at the table, a few supporters cheering from the roof, and gapers who accidentally wandered to this place. The players who didn't get to the duel stage took responsibility of guarding the arena. However, some of the hooligans managed to slip through the battlefield and bothered the players. With constant shouts directed to Tom like "relax, focus" in the background, Captain Lost slowly but surely kept gaining his victory. With 2 finishing blows, Captain Lost secures his position, one and for all, 6-2. And Tom manages to win one more round, but unfortunately that won't get him victory at this point. However, that was really an amazing and a memorable match. The final score is 7-3. Later, Tom will revenge for this loss and his defeated comrade Wambo, with a victory in the semi-final with Captain Lost. And at last, the final duel. The viewer has a unique opportunity to watch the tourney's final minutes from the winner's point of view, and that is, you guessed it, M. Although the Polish player managed to reach the final, the difference in skill was still evident. M turned out to be swifter and more artful. Let's see at execution of the famous boot technique by both players. Tom didn't always perform it successfully, for which he immediately got stabbed in the back. And after some time, M performs this technique just perfectly. Of course, you can say that Tom's performance was totally unimpressive. Here, he managed to notice a gap in M's defense and quickly take advantage of it. Final score is 7-3. M takes first place at the first international tournament of Mount and Blade with Fire and Sword.